Hello everyone, welcome to another brand new class of human physiology. In today's class, we will discuss about the general introduction about our digestive system. Hope you will enjoy the class. So, what are different concept or topic will be covered in our digestive system? So, we will discuss about in general about anatomy of our digestive system, then mouth, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine and large intestine. Briefly we will say their structure, their functions. So, what is digestive system? Digestion is defined as the process in which food is kind of broken down into smaller chemical substances. Why it is very important? Because we generally kind of intake complex of molecule, right? Generally like fat, protein, or like starch, they are not broken down smaller components. So, our body cannot absorb the nutrient without the digestion. So, once we consume this more complex component of the food, they need to be digested into more smaller component and it becomes easier for our cells to get those nutrients or for the uptake of those nutrients. Okay. Why it is important digestion? It provides the energy for the cellular function, it supplies the building blocks for growth and repair, it absorbs essential vitamins and minerals. What are different basic processes of the digestive system? The first is the ingestion, what is mostly it refers to the intake of the food into the mouth, and then the step of digestion, where mechanical and chemical breakdowns of food happens. After that, absorption of those nutrients to the bloodstream, that can happen through the process of absorption, and finally the elimination of the unwanted substance through the waste material as feces. So, as you see, this is the overall digestive organ, mostly mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. These are the part of the overall digestive system. So, we basically kind of take the food, right? We consume lot of complex food, fat, protein from our mouth. So, once the food are consumed, our teeth in the jaw helps to kind of chew or break down those food into smaller particles, and slowly those smaller particle kind of goes to our intestine in the through our gastrointestinal tract, where these digestive enzymes, acid like HCl, everything is present for the digestion purpose, and eventually they gets passed to the large intestine and small intestine, and finally all the nutrients get absorbed back to the blood and all the remaining waste material eventually pass out from the anus. So, this is overall a systematic chart of our food processing through the process of the digestion. Then what are different part of the digestive system? Very important is the mouth. So, mouth contains teeth and salivary glands, right? So, what are different type of teeth are present? Mostly 4 type of teeth we have. We have 8 frontal or incisor type of teeth that plays important role for cutting or chewing the food. Then we have 4 canine teeth, they basically helps in terms of tearing the food particles or larger food components. Then we have 8 premolar and 12 molar teeth, they helps in terms of grinding the food. So, total we have 32 teeth, and as a whole all these teeth participates in different part of processing of those food. The main goal is to kind of broke down those food particles from a bigger chunk to a smaller chunk. Okay. Then we have tongue, which is mostly a muscle or muscular organ. You can easily manipulate the food, and of course you can also taste the food. Then we have 3 type of salivary glands like parotid, submandibular and sublingual. They produce the saliva, right? Saliva is also a very important component of the mouth. What are basically function of mouth? Mechanical digestion using mastication or chewing, broken down food into the smaller pieces, chemical digestion. So, salivary gland can have this salivary amylase, they can do chemical reaction, biochemical reaction, to break down like those complex food structure into the essential like smaller simpler nutrients. The saliva also helps to moisten the food, helps to facilitate like the swallowing, okay, and it also contains lot of enzymes. Then pharynx and the esophagus, right. So this is basically a common, pharynx is the common passageway of the food and air. So you can see this is the pharynx area which is the common passage of the food and air, right. And you can see there is like this valve like structure is present, which is the epiglottis. This is basically a valve or the flap that prevents the food to enter the trachea, okay. So food should only go to the gastrointestinal area, not the trachea area, because if the food enter to the trachea area, it can cause the choke. It can become like a choke hazard, causing like trouble in our breathing, and if the choke is not removed in appropriate time, we can observe like significant challenges including death. So this epiglottis, which is like a flap or valve that ensures that food particles from the mouth is only enters into our gastrointestinal or intestinal area, not in the trachea. It basically connects the pharynx to the stomach, okay. It also helps in terms of like swallowing process by coordinating the muscle contraction. It helps the movement of the food, right. Also it has like a peristalsis type of movement that helps the food to move to the stomach. Then stomach, you can see that is the most important part of our digestive system, which contains like lot of acid enzyme, mostly like the important is like the acidic HCl that basically break down lot of food particles into smaller one. HCl in our stomach can also destroy a lot of like foreign particles, so it also helps to maintain the immunity because it can destroy the bacteria or other foreign particle that we consume from the food, okay. Anatomy, if you see about the stomach, it has like fundus, body, antrum and the pylorus. So this is like the antrum area, this is the pylorus area, you can see here, right, and this part is the fundus area, okay. And there are different layer of the stomach wall, for example like mucosa, submucosa, mucolaris externa and serosa, okay. So different type of 4 layers of stomachs are present. Mucosa mostly have this epithelium lining with lamina, right. Submucosa have like the connective tissue with the blood vessels and the nerve. Muscularis externa have 3 layers of smooth muscles like oblique, circular and longitudinal, and then serosa has like outer layer of connective tissue, okay. So what are the functions of stomach? Functions of stomach, if you see, it produces, it has like the hydrochloric acid that is mostly produced by the parietal cells. What it helps? It helps in the denaturation of the proteins and activates, it also activates the pepsin. Then pepsinogen, pepsinogen is produced by the chief cells and they convert the pepsin to the it convert to pepsin and it helps in the protein digestion. Then mucus, it is produced by the goblet cells, it protects the stomach lining. And then intrinsic factor, these are also produced by the parietal cells, they are needed for the vitamin B12 absorption. And finally the gastrin, which is produced by the G cells, it stimulates the gastric acid secretion, okay. So these are some of the gastric secretion that happen in the stomach. Then next is the liver. Liver is the largest internal organ, right. It is located in the upper right quadrant of the abdomen. Liver is divided mostly into the right and the left lobes, further subdivided into the lobules, right. So these lobules are the hexagonal functional unit containing the hepatocytes, which are most important of these liver cells, right. That all these liver cells and liver in terms, they participate in lot of like metabolic activity of our body. Okay. So portal triads, they contain like hepatic artery, hepatic portal vein and bile duct. Liver is also important for production of the biles. Liver has like Kupffer cells, they have like this specialized macrophage within the sinusoids. Bile cannulae, small ducts that collect bile produced by the hepatocytes, and finally hepatic ducts, right and left hepatic ducts merge to form like the common hepatic duct. Okay. What are the different functions of liver? Liver helps in terms of bile production, right. So hepatocytes synthesize bile is the most important function of the hepatocyte. These are very essential for fat emulsification and fat absorption. Okay. Then glucose metabolism, as you know, like glucose is generally converted to the glycogen for future store, and also by the activity of insulin, which is secreted or produced by the pancreatic beta islet cells. Also the alpha cells, glucagon, they secrete the glucagon, and glucagon can convert the stored glycogen back to the glucose in during cases of fasting situation. So this way glucose homeostasis is maintained in our body. Okay. Liver also plays important role in liver metabolism, protein metabolism, detoxification, storage of glycogen, vitamin A, D, B12, blood filtration and synthesis of different clotting factor. You remember we discussed like various blood clotting factors like 8, 9, 11, 12. So different blood clotting factors are being synthesized in the liver. So liver is very important in terms of digestion organ, and it has different other roles also apart from digestion and metabolic activity. Then gallbladder. Gallbladder is a very important component of the digestive system. It is basically like a sac like organ. It is connected to the common bile duct. What is the main function? The bile storage. It concentrates and stores the bile produced by the liver. So basically in this sac the bile can be stored and it can get concentrated, and eventual bile release. So those stored and concentrated biles are eventually getting released to the duodenum during the digestion step. Pancreas, we just discussed, pancreas has lot of endocrine and exocrine functions. So where the pancreas are located? Pancreas are located in the retroperitoneal posterior to the stomach, which is get extended near to the duodenum to the spleen, right. Mostly it has like different region like head, neck, body and tail region. Acinar cells of the exocrine glands, right. So acinar cells, they perform like exocrine type of functions. They form the majority of the pancreas. Okay. And the beta cells, alpha cells, this type of cells performs the endocrine functions, which are also called like islets of Langerhans. Okay. Then it has pancreatic duct, and it also kind of have like a blood supply from the splanchnic artery. Functions, as we said, the pancreas has both like exocrine function and endocrine function. In case of exocrine functions, there are a lot of pancreatic enzymes which are being produced from the acinar cells. They produce this type of digestive enzyme like amylase that breaks down the carbohydrate, protease like trypsin, chromatrypsin, carboxypeptidase, they break down different type of protein. Then lipase, this type of enzyme can break down lipid. Then nuclease, they can break down nucleic acid. So these are exocrine functions or part of digestive type of functions. By secretion of different type of digestive enzyme, they break down carbohydrate, protein and lipids. Okay. And also these acinar cells can secrete bicarbonate. By the secretion of the bicarbonate from the duct cells, they maintain like acidicity and basicity. So basically like they has a function to do like neutralization of the acidic chyme in the duodenum and maintaining like a pH regulation of the body. Okay. And as you know, like endocrine functions of pancreas is also very important. They maintain the glucose homeostasis in our body. Then next is the small intestine, right? It has three different segments. One is duodenum, then jejunum and ileum, right? What are different function? Initial digestion receives bile and pancreatic enzymes. Then jejunum mostly like primary site of nutrient absorption, so this is very important part. Like first it participates in the digestion, and eventually from this part of the small intestine the absorption of those smaller component of the molecules along with other essential nutrients happens. So this is very important. And finally absorption of vitamin B12 and bile salt also happen from the small intestine. Okay, then different function, major site of nutrient absorption, chemical digestion can happen, segmentation like mixing the contraction enhances the absorption, all this function can happen in the small intestine. Large intestine, you can see large intestine has three important component, one is colon, then rectum, colon, rectum and anus. So colon is very important, is ascending, transverse, descending and sigmoid, these are different area of the colon. Then rectum, it stores the feces, anus it controls and it helps in the elimination of those waste product. So what are different function of the large intestine? Large intestine reabsorb water and electrolyte from the sine, it concentrates the waste, it maintains the fluid and electrolyte homeostasis in our body, it forms feces and it also helps for the removal of the feces. With the feces lot of toxic component, right? All these toxic component or unwanted component of the food, those we cannot get like broken down to the simpler nutrient, they can be removed as a waste product from the large intestine. Okay, so do you know like the gut microbiome, which is very important to our body, it is complex and diverse community of trillions of bacteria, and for like a proper healthy lifestyle or healthy kind of physiological condition, gut microbiome is very important. All our gut microbiome, it kind of decides that how our health like lifestyle kind of happens. In cases of imbalance to our gut microbiome, we can significantly experience lot of challenges in our physiological condition. Okay, so it is very important. Each of our human body has a unique gut microbiome kind of component. So even though there are lot of similar gut microbiome presents, but everyone has like a unique fingerprint of gut microbiome. So this is very important. Activity questions, some of the activity questions you can rehearse, that what should be the pH of the stomach, right, and why. So stomach has HCl, so you can kind of assume like what would be the pH if there is lot of HCl present, and also can you tell why HCl cannot damage stomach. So as you know, right, like HCl is very highly kind of acidic in nature. So if a certain solution has either high acidicity or high basicity, it should damage the cells, right, because our cells thrive in a neutral condition. But why HCl then cannot damage the stomach? Can you tell? You can kind of explore these questions, and if you don't understand, please drop your questions to the email. We will do lot of activity questions also. So hopefully you enjoyed the digestive organ and the digestive system preliminary class. We thoroughly discussed about different digestive component or organs like mouth, like our liver, our stomach, right, small and large intestine. So and we thoroughly discussed like their functions and mechanism. Hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you again. Let's meet with another class of human physiology very soon. Thank you.